My upgrades are invincible. Rewrite, Chapter 11, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. So. You pick up a street rat, fucked her, and felt pity. So now I need to bring her into the Familia. Hephaestus asked bluntly while taking a breath, and Tsubaki was silently giggling like a loon as Tina stood beside me, clearly shy. After a moment of thought, I slowly shook my head with Tsubaki's mad giggles of seeing their sibling trying to explain their fuck up to their parent and only deepening their whole being her life at the moment. And as I explained what Tina actually was, Tsubaki literally covered her face with a pillow to hide her noises. Tina is not a street rat. She had a refrigerator box to live in basically. I said, trying to stay away from mentioning how she previously lived in a stolen outhouse of all things. Thankfully my words didn't count as a lie, as using the words basically alluded to them being the same thing. But Tina has actually awoken a skill, and seeing as Soma is a drug of addicts she wouldn't be safe at, I would hope you could slap your own fauna on her. I finished, and Hephaestus pinched her nose at the stress I was bringing her. Jake. You do realize that just picking up a girl and overriding their fauna isn't looked up favorably by any gods, right? Hephaestus stated bluntly, with her single eye pinning me with her irritated glare, but I just shrugged as I retorted. Yeah, and I don't care. She wants to join the Familia. She has a powerful skill that boosts her physical strength, so she is valuable as a person, and lastly she is my supporter for the dungeon, I said with finality, making Hephaestus close her eye as Tsubaki threw her pillow at me from across the room and making me dodge the spinning square pillow of doom that zipped over my head and audibly slammed into Hephaestus's desk, and making the goddess glare at her shameless captain, who just grinned. Finally, Hephaestus rolled her eyes and grumbled. Damned problem children. It's always my Smiths whoring and causing drunken disturbances. Why can't they just kill someone like my friend's problem children? Hephaestus almost whined weakly, making me snort, but I smiled as she stood up with a grunt of effort as she looked down at Tina, who was just above my waist. Alright girlie, turn around so I can unbutton the top of your dress so I can give you my fauna, Hephaestus said with a small smile at Tina, quickly turning around so Hephaestus could unsnap the green buttons that held the back of Tina's dress closed. Due to Arario's many scumbag asshole gods and goddesses, many female adventurers needed clothes with easily accessible backs while they could cover their chest from any groping hands. So most female adventurer clothes and styles had ways to allow someone to access their back to update their fauna easily. But once Tina's back glowed with the divine light of Hephaestus's barely used arcanuum that marked her with her divine ichor, Hephaestus froze and woodenly looked up at me from the couch she and Tina were using to do the ritual, with her mouth slightly ajar. The fucking blood fury spear, she said dully, and I nodded gleefully as Hephaestus literally convulsed in disgust at my shit-eating grin that promised so many futures, I told you so's. Though Hephaestus couldn't keep up her sore loser face as she visibly took a deep breath and shook her head as she looked between us three. You guys don't say a word, Hephaestus ordered strongly as she continued with a wry smile. The blood fury spear is the divine ability the Paulum Fianna awoke when she was alive, and if Hera finds out about her having it, she will likely snatch her up in a wargame that I will have no choice to surrender, Hephaestus warned us. And I understood what she meant. As Hera had 24 of level 7s, 8 level 8s, and the world's single level 9. If Hephaestus's Familia just had Tsubaki, who was only at level 4, and the previous captain, who was retired at level 5, were to fight Hera, there was zero chance of victory, so I didn't blame her when she said she would throw Tina to Hera to save her Familia. So while you are there and your finger is bleeding, want to update my fauna as well? I asked, and Hephaestus rolled her eye but nodded while spanking Tina on the backside, making her squeal as she moved aside and zipped behind me in fear of the impatient forge goddess. So after a quick update to my fauna that made me get a couple of dozen points added across all my stats for my brief jaunt in the dungeon the previous day where I picked up Tina. And with the day being fresh, I decided that Tina and I could go into the dungeon to see how her skill worked. And with her blood fury spear skill, I wanted to see how she would handle my anti-goblin growth spear, and my plan was to literally slaughter all the goblins and kobolds for the spears I had for both species that would make us grow stronger by killing those monsters. As both spears had the same quests, but with the name of the monster it targeted only being different. But to have a weapon that would permanently increase Excelia gain with the said weapon that I could fuse into something else. That was a fucking game changer, as I imagined I could keep combining these Excelia weapons together, at least especially if they were focused and grew off different monsters. So Tina, do you have some kind of chant or something to use your skill? I asked quietly as we entered one of the side passageways of the first floor that looked empty of adventurers, as most were going deeper than the first floor. But Tina, in response to my question, had her eyes flicker a bloody glowing red of the blood fury spear, with her own body glowing a bit along with the fur-covered spear that had red glowing Celtic-style tattoos grown on the handle of the spear, and I then noticed a copy of appearing just under her eyes that took the form 3 swirls, and I realized something. This skill was some kind of fucking ripoff of Siu Chulin's Ryostrad or Warp Spasm.